Tribulation. I'm your host, Jared Beeler. I've been sitting here for the past half an hour trying to get myself ready to do this. I tell you, sometimes it is very difficult to get started when I'm making a video, and this is one of those times, but it's not what I'm going to be discussing. It's hard to get fired up sometimes, but enough of that. For quite some time, 7 years to be exact, I have pointed out that if stuff's about to take off, that it needs to be picking up at a progressively faster pace, very progressively faster pace. And certain events need to be taking place that are going to correspond through lining up right before the tribulation starts. And we can see the rapture and stuff like that. And behind closed doors, after I've put out these discussions and said this looks like the year, this so far looks like it could possibly be the year, and I'm not talking about this year, I'm talking about years past. I ended up having a conversation with Dustin or somebody like that, and it's like, well, if it's going to happen, stuff needs to be picking up pace, and right now it's really lagging. I always try to give it some credit that, well, there's still a chance it can happen a little bit later on. It can happen a little bit later on, and I wait until finally gets to the point where, no, not enough. It's not there, not the place that it needs to be for the things that I know and am looking and expecting to happen, and then I'll call it. And I'll say, I'm sorry, it just doesn't look like this year. This year is totally different. And for the first time, there has been no lagging at all. It's at breakneck speed, exactly where it needs to be going, and in a destructive manner towards the U.S. and the world that is high speed straight for the tribulation. And for that, for those that are looking for the rapture, is very exciting news. But it really is. It's going that way, and for the first time ever, I'm not disappointed, and I'm not having a discussion. In fact, the discussion is exactly the opposite, and I was talking to Dustin the other night about it. And we talked about the same thing. That usually it lags, and we wait to see what's going to happen, if it's going to pick up speed, and if there's hope for it to pick up speed, and then it doesn't, it drops off, but not this time. This time it's going exactly then. Everything that's been done is being undone at unprecedented speed, and the abomination that's coming with it, the abortion stuff is being signed into legislation and things like that. I mean, it's overnight, which took in 4 years, which goes right into the whole ploy of things and how it was all dragged out, and they knew that it was going to change instantly, is undone almost within a week. And it's amazing the incredible pace and speed that it's going, but it's going to make things happen very fast. I've discussed the two-front war multiple times, the spiritual and the physical, and how they're connected. And if you guys have heard me talk for any length of time, I take importance on both of them. I'm not going to get into that because that's not what the discussion is. But it's just important in the physical as in the spiritual that we deal with on both realms. And evil knows that if the hand of God is blocking something in the physical for them to do something, they need to break down the barriers that are in the spiritual. And you can watch that quick as lightning happen if they start bringing in more abortion bills and stuff like that, especially where it comes to American taxpayer money funding abortions that are in other countries and things like that, which is exactly what's being signed into law. It's an absolute abomination. You will find quick, swift judgment. Judgment will be severe, of course. This is going to line up with the tribulation. So those that are looking for all this stuff to happen, it's terrible news in one hand and very exciting news in the other hand, all right? And that's exactly what we're seeing taking place right now. And I just wanted to get that out really fast and make that point. This is everything that I've been expecting to look forward to. I do not think it's years off. I, right now, think that it's this year. I really do. I think that it happens this year. I think it's going to be in spring. And right now I'm holding to that. Nothing is slowing that down. I'll let you know if I do, but things will have to come to more of a standstill, and they're not doing that. They're taking off at more of a high speed. I saw that Russia today, or came out the other day, they have some new weapons, some EMP stuff that can move at Mach 20 and do first strikes and stuff like that, along with China. Of course, you know that Russia and China attack America during Babylon's destruction, aka America. It happens in the Bible. And anybody who's known about Dmitry Duduman prophecies and stuff like that, there's a weapon of indignation that is shot off by Russia, by the enemies or whatever, that does something to us. I believe it's an EMP, a power grid weapon, and it's very interesting that that is in the mainstream news right now, them talking about having that. And I've told you before about how FEMA got a hold of some of the truck drivers down in the Bible Belt area, and they're paying them, they have been for some years now, to be on standby and ready for an EMP event that would shut down all traffic, and vehicles would be dead in the road, and they would have to come in and just pull them off the road so that military personnel and other things like that could get through quicker and easier. And they've been paid basically on standby for it for some time. They've known about it. I told you guys that the head of the nuclear defense or whatever in America, that I was told by somebody who happened to run in a family member through my family, was discussing how he basically put out some innuendo. There's nothing stopping it. They're going to get a hold of the nukes and stuff like that, and basically America's going to get blasted. And they were retiring because of it, because there was really no reason to be in anymore. And they were building their home out in the no man's land in Montana. But that was last year or the year before. All this stuff is coming to play, and it's right where they need to. And now they have a hand that they can move to sign the legislation. The people that are behind the curtains, that are pulling the strings, fallen angel, dark forces, and things like that are about to usher in the New World Order, the Great Reset that they're putting on as the front. But the Agenda 2030, kill off everybody and everything, and bring in a Luciferian believing world, all right, that they're going to follow, which we all know is the Antichrist system and everything like that. And the people that are playing the part in it right now, only some of them are getting the taste. Hollywood actors and things like this, I saw them discussing it the other day, how their businesses are shut down. Now they're going for broke because it's not looking like they were promised. All the things they were told to do to sell it to the Illuminati, the money and stuff they would make, is now crashing down as their concerts and stuff come to a halt after they've released COVID-19 and other pandemic nonsense and stuff, which will only progressively get worse. But it's not as ray of sunshiny as they were promised that it would be. And of course, that's exactly how it is. Going back to any sort of Star Wars reference, any separatists or anything like that, they're promised that they're going to be having peace and everything else, and to go along with the plan, only for them to be cut down later. It was only to put somebody in power, and there was no love or care for any of them. They were all to be used to put one person in power, which is exactly what's happening and going to happen when they put the Antichrist in there. Lower level people, Ocasio-Cortezes and stuff like that, they don't have to be privy to the plan. They don't have to know what's going on. Where somebody like Pelosi could be playing along and actually be friends, but they're told that they'll be a part of it when the whole thing rolls over. No, they'll be cut down to make it look even more real, that the bad guys were taken out, and now there's a new good leader and everything like that. And that's exactly what they'll do. But we're moving in that direction. And that's just a little bit of pre stuff that I wanted to talk about before I got to the point here. I was sent a video this morning by my mother. She sends me stuff every once in a while, and this one was a Perry Stone one, and I've seen his stuff quite a few times and everything like that, and I saw Paul Bagley today too, and they were talking about this is the time of the rapture and things like that, and I've heard Tom Horn talking about a Phobos in 2029, and I look at all of them, and they don't have a clue on the time we're in. And of course, then you have me, an extreme opposite version, where I've been expecting it since 2014, right? And it hasn't happened. But because of the pre-ignition to the whole thing, it has allowed me to talk to more people by believing that it was happening sooner, until we get to the point where we're at now, where I actually think, yeah, this really is it. And of course, I said that every year, but that's just me being honest. But they keep looking off at these distant times and stuff like that. Well, other people that are coming back from seeing God after dying, he's telling them, no, it's right now, it's right now. Of course, I absolutely believe it is, especially when he's told me in 2019 that it's almost time. He hasn't said anything this year, and I haven't heard anything from him since last year around this time when he sent me off to go talk to everybody one more time. And that was the last time. He just told me I knew what to do. So, if he does tell me, of course I'll share it, but he has not said anything to me And, it's almost an answer without an answer. Sometimes more can be said when nothing's said at all. And I really think that it's pointing to there is no need to warn anymore, because I've already been looking and expecting it anyways, that it really is going to finally happen now. And that's the direction they're moving. Right? But this Perry Stone is one of his latest videos where he was talking about a 1933 prophecy from a pastor, all right, that they believed to be a prophet back then. And you get back to the older ones that were following God and not the money-making operations that we see now, which is interesting enough, is why they can't ever seem to figure out why they don't have special abilities and gifts from God and stuff like that when they're making money from it. And they don't need to. It doesn't mean they're not saved or anything like that, but they get robbed by power that could be given to them, and that's a different topic altogether. But the point is that I listened to the whole thing while he talked, and he was saying that this pastor had a glimpse of the future right before the rapture happens, or when it happens at the time, and that we would have a female president. And I know that they wanted to have Hillary Clinton was planned, or at least told for a while, that she was going to be one of the first women president. And they backed off from the whole thing. The American public had just about enough for her, and it wasn't going to fly. Kamala Harris is the next best thing, if not worse. But she butchered herself because everybody knew what she was about in the first place. But if they could sneak her in as a second in command, only for it to take over, then they could put her where they want. I think it's very strategic to have a woman as the next president for a couple reasons. One, they switched it up between having a first black president, then an outsider supposedly with Trump, and now a woman. You can keep the population, which has had just about enough of everything, quote for a little while, where they give somebody else another chance. And at the same time, it buys more time. Another thing is the Antichrist will be a male. And you don't want to have the Antichrist itself, let's say Obama, for instance, around when things go to hell. Countries are destroyed. People will remember that. They don't want to place that with it. But if you can put that person that you're going to use later, speaking of Obama, in a safety zone where things didn't seem like they're so bad, then everything bad happens with somebody else and you can bring him out. He's looking like a ray of sunshine because it never happened under him. Another thing is, by using a woman now, when they crash the whole system, if America falls under a woman as president, it'll look that much sweeter when a man steps back up, which will be the Antichrist as a world political leader, because people will associate the destruction as being under woman leadership. All right, so it's very strategic in that sense. But the woman is pure evil. Do I think that she will come in? Yes, I do. But back to the prophecy that this is from 1933. I want to go over it real fast. In 1933, this pastor has this prophecy, and he sees into the future or whatever at the time of the rapture, or right before it happens, and the destruction of America. And he sees people driving egg-shaped vehicle cars. They're not square box anymore, of course. Ever since the early 90s, when the new Dodge Ram came out, they started rounding the corners and stuff like that, and more stuff's becoming more aerodynamic in that sense. And to what we see now, to new Volkswagen Bugs and stuff like that do look like eggs. And that people wouldn't have to drive, the car would be able to drive itself, like under what we have right now, the technology's there. And that we'd have a woman as being the first woman president. And right now, when we're in, of course, you guys know what I've been talking for a long time, looking into science without even knowing about that prophecy or hearing about it, but I have heard about it in the past. I wouldn't need to hear about it to believe that we're right then where we need to be. But to hear that and know that is just one more piece, key piece, cherry on the top, that we are right there where we need to be. As Perry Stone talked about it, would she come in the next few years between now and 2024, or possibly run as president in 2024? All right, stop right there. And then listening to Paul Bagley talk about it during Are We in the Time? He's got more of a mid-trib rapture idea, which I believe is a consequence from some of the money-making operation stuff that he's done. It's blinded him to things. But anyways, I was listening to him talk just for the heck of it, and he was pushing, later in 2029. Of course, that goes along to Tom Horn idea that Apophis would be there. Does that have something to do with the rapture? And I look at the blindness in them, how they really don't have an idea. It's tied in knots. The same thing that I saw, and I do see, when pastors are talking about the trumpets and seals and when they take place during the tribulation. It's the same sort of thing that I see. I see a knot there that hasn't been delved into, and they're blocked from it. And that's the honest truth. They're blocked from it. And I've never seen anybody else bring out the point that I have before. I've never, ever in my entire life, I've never heard of it. I've never heard anybody preach of it before. But it always interests me with the numbers, and it maybe have been a knot in my life for a while that I wanted to dive into with the timing of it. So that's what I did when I looked into when the seals and when the trumpets happen. And I believe that it's very clear, and of course I've discussed this before, we'll go over it really quick, that the two witnesses along with the woes are the key to finding out when they take place. All right, the seventh trumpet blows when the two witnesses are done. All right, and when they go up, they are in Israel, like it says in chapter 11 of Revelation, and it's where Jesus was crucified. So they're in Jerusalem. All right, the Antichrist can't do anything to them, neither can anybody else while they're during their time of prophecy. We also know that the Antichrist comes in and the Jews are dispersed and killed out of Israel, and they're made to flee to Petra outside the country. And then he takes over in the temple and rules from there. Well, that's for a specific period of time that they flee, 1,260 days. So if their reign was to go anywhere past the halfway point, it would play into that. And any Jew that were there would know that they could flee around the two witnesses and they'd be protected by them. But that's not what happens at all. There's nothing to protect them anymore. The wall is down, the veil is done. And that tells me they go from very day one of the tribulation to the midpoint. Okay? And if you know this as a point and you see that the trumpet ends that, then you can calculate back from the sixth trumpet and the fifth trumpet, the only two that are given specific lengths of time for how long they run. And it comes to 1.5 years, basically, all right? And you can work your way back from the 3.5 point, you get to the 2-year mark. And that's when at least the fourth trumpet blows. From the 2-year mark, you can work your way back again. How long is trumpets 1 through 4? It could be anywhere from 6 months, half a year, something like that. It needs to be a period of time that encompasses the length of time that the Nibiru system, the planetary system that comes through and crashes in the ocean and does a bunch of other stuff, needs to get through our solar system and shoot back out. 6 months, a year, 8 months, something along those lines. So you can take that back. You are left with a length of time for the seals to take place, because this stuff happens in chronological order. That's pointed out with the woes as well. And they tell you have a seal opening system that happens within 1 year to 1.5 years, okay? So knowing this and putting that all together, you know that the seals and the trumpets happen in the first part of the tribulation, all right? And you have a rough indication timeline of when they take place, but you know for a fact when the fifth one kicks in, you're at the 2-year mark, all right? So, I've never seen anybody do that before, ever. I've never even heard of it or anything like that. And this is just more stuff that God's showing me and things like that. But it's an example that these guys are blinded to the fact that it's not years off. All right, the Apophis thing has nothing to do with Jack. All right, they're looking to a future point that has nothing to do with it. By the time you get to 2029, the New World Order system is going to hopefully in their plans, anyways, will have killed off 7 billion people, which we know in accordance when you line up with Revelation, the only prophecy would speak of such death. That's the end of it. All right, not the beginning, not the start, like they're looking at. They're looking at the wrong end. The tribulation will be starting here very shortly, within our time. And what I'm looking at is possibly this year. And of course, because I was told in 2018, the Feast of Trumpets is for the second coming, not the rapture, that's our lineup point at the end. You can come back. The tribulation starts sometime in the fall. But that doesn't have anything to do with the rapture. The rapture is something I believe will take place sooner, which will open up the door for God's hand to be removed and World War III, Gog and Magog to take place. When you see the war stuff taking place, and Putin just came out at Davos and he said if everybody doesn't back off right now, we're going to have a war against all of us. And of course, this is going to be what's going to draw the lines up for the 10 kings and stuff in the tribulation. It's the precursor stuff to it. all right, along with Israel going back after Iran and stuff like that, and Iran getting ready to level Tel Aviv to the ground, which is also in the news. If Israel tries anything, Israel putting out some propaganda, they're going to be working on stuff over 2021. That's not the plan at all. They're planning on it right now and indicating it could be later, so it's a surprise attack. All right, that's smart strategy, of course. But that point is that that stuff's getting ready to take place. What I'm looking at is spring or summer, and this will be the year that it happens. And everything needs to be taking place for that. For America's destruction, the hand of God needs to move away. So you need to put somebody godless in there that's going to start doing stuff that is basically spitting in the eye of God, which is exactly what the Biden administration is doing right now. They signed 40 different legislations in within the first week that hasn't ever been done before. Trump did like 4, Obama did 5. They're just writing things up at breakneck speed to move the agenda along. And that's exactly what they're doing. Meanwhile, they're vaccinating everybody that's getting ready to die. I found it very interesting because I've been looking for any side effects other than, things that are attached to causing people to die prematurely before it's time that are associated with the COVID-19 vaccine, right? And I've been looking, and one came to mind the other day, radiation. A radiologist, an x-ray guy, he had taken his second dose, and within 2.5 hours he was put into an induced coma or whatever, and he ended up dying. And I thought to myself, could radiation be something that could set this thing off prematurely before its time? Because, like I said before, the COVID-19 vaccine, like I talked about in the past couple of videos, is some sort of newer version of synthetic HIV that's faster responding and is designed to compromise your immune system to such a point that any other ailment that comes along, any virus or anything like that, will kill you off. But not at the point where it's doing it right off the bat to make the government look guilty. You don't want that to happen. You need it to happen at its own corresponding speeds and times, all right? But this guy died right after that. Well, if there is any correlation to radiation being an underlying ailment that can happen to set this thing off where you die from the vaccine, nothing would do that more than a nuclear war, World War III, and that would be absolutely perfect. So that is something to keep in mind. Not something I know about just yet, but if you guys find any more articles where people are getting this and diagnosed and they just happen to be doctors or something that works around x-ray stuff or have been around it or it's been set off by that, keep that in mind and just pay attention to it. It's just an idea that I've had. But anyways, the prophecy, back to this, it's and Kamala Harris being president, they wanted to have Hillary in, right? Or she was planning on getting in anyways, and now we're going to have Kamala Harris, and I don't believe it's going to be years off or 2024 or anything like that. I think it's going to happen this year. They're going to pull Biden out. And I think they're going to do it between now and March. The reason I say that is because of them keeping the National Guard around and stuff like that. You don't do that unless you're going to be doing stuff that's so hard and heavy that you fear some serious backlash from the American public, and they want to have guard and stuff like that on standby. That tells me that they're about to sign some stuff into legislation or do some stuff that's really, really bad, worse than it already is. And because of that, my first guess is they're going to be putting her in sometime between now and March. Just so you guys know, during an after party after not the inauguration, but before that, when the election happened, Kamala Harris's husband was caught coming into one of the party rooms in the back meeting or whatever and celebrating, saying that they were looking at the first woman president. Speaking of Kamala Harris, they already have it planned that it's going to happen, so it will take place. I just don't think that it's years off, like Perry Stone was possibly hinting at. I think it's going to happen this year. I think it's going to go at a breakneck speed like nobody's ever seen before. And I think that it's going to line up with Scripture and God warning people of the time of the fig tree. I really do. I think it's going to fall within the 80-year generation and everything like that. So far I do anyways. That's the way that it looks like. And they've picked her and put this into play. And this prophecy goes that when we had a woman president, egg cars, basically, the kind of cars we have now that can drive themselves, that we would see the rapture happen. It would be that time. It would be during that time. And along with what I've already pointed at and the different points of how this lines up, we are in that time. And I do think it's this year. And I really am looking for this spring. I really think that it is. And Americans and the rest of the world, they're only getting a taste of it right now. It's bad. Like many Americans, I lost my job on Inauguration 2, January 20th. Mine was a little bit different circumstances. than a lot of other people that just got laid off and stuff like that. But nonetheless, very interesting enough, my coworker that morning, I was discussing that with the job and the way things are working so far, it would seem like something bad would have to happen. Either I would lose that job, or we would lose clients or something like that, and money would be shorted, and I would be in something else, because when the rapture vision happens, first thing I'm told is I'll never have to worry about a stupid job ever again, or financial issues. And currently, at the point where I was working at the job, I'm not experiencing any financial issues. I'm doing buying, even being able to save a little bit, which is the first time in a while that I've been able to. It's been really nice. And I literally was telling my coworker this that morning, and then that afternoon, I ended up getting fired. So it's very interesting that that happened, and that only points to me that it's exactly what I was talking about that morning, that something would happen to get me out of being paid and being comfortable and into more of a rough situation where I'm told when the rapture happens, you'll never have to worry about a stupid job ever again, or financial issues. Two things that really bother me. The stupid job bothers me more than anything, almost, that I can possibly comprehend. To know who exactly I am and what I can do and what God made me to do, and to know that that's there, and then told, no, be on standby, be held back, never do the purpose you were made for, is unbearable suffering that I have to experience, and bothers me to the absolute core. So when I go in and I do a new stupid job, it's a constant reminder that I'm not getting to do what I was born to do, what I was made to do for God. And knowing that it's His hand that's a part of that can be very, very frustrating. But it's all for His purpose. But it's one of the things that bothers me the most. And I'm told, as I'm blasting up, you'll never have to worry about a stupid job ever again, or financial issues. That struggle, that holdback is done with from that point on. It's over. I'm going to be able to step into what I was born to be, what I was born to do. All right, a real purpose. And I look forward to that. So up until that point, though, struggle is real. It's absolutely terrible. So, but money issues haven't been bad the past 6 months, because I've been paid pretty good, even though work was hard and everything like that. So to lose a job, and to see things possibly now, maybe even my home, have to move out earlier if I can't find something else or anything like that, it's putting me back into that struggle, the same kind of struggle that I was expecting to see, because that's what I saw when I was taken up in the rapture. Frustration, difficulty, oh great, now this attitude, which I said when I saw the UFO and stuff like that. But that's what I see taking place, all right? And that's just me looking at my life from a third-person perspective and being open about it. All right, this is totally the time, and I thought it was very interesting that was brought up on the Perry Stone thing about a woman presence, because I absolutely think that that's the direction that we are going to go. And I'm not the only person that's seen that or believes that at all. There's lots of people that believe that they're going to put Kamala Harris in, and it's going to be an abomination. Of course, if you consider this Babylon, she will definitely take the place or the role as the whore of Babylon, because she's absolutely terrible. All right, just kind of like a little Bible joke there. But anyways, there's just a little bit that I have on my mind, and I just wanted to talk about it a little bit, and kind of, for those that are looking to get out of here and are wondering when this stuff's going to happen, I tell you, it looks like it's this year. It does, and I say that it looks like it's going to be sometime this spring or early summer. All right, that's the best that I have right now, and I'm very, very excited about it. I have a calm excitement about it. It's not an excitement of it's time. I've already been expecting it to time since 2014. It's the kind of calm attitude. It's like I've already been sitting on the plane waiting while everybody's trying to figure out where to stuff their stuff in the cargo bins, looking like idiots. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, why do you guys pack so much? This is absolutely ridiculous. Can we get the flight underway? And now the flight's finally getting underway. It's that calm, comfortable feeling. I've been ready to go for a while, and it's pure excitement, pure bliss. I really hope that it is, and so far right now, that's the way that it looks like. So, this is just me giving some analysis on the whole thing and what's going on, what I see, and everything like that. And, for those that are looking, hopefully it's some encouragement. And I know what it is. I know it is for me, for sure. But we're almost through this thing. And if you haven't given your heart to the Lord, now's the time to do it. You don't want to be sticking around when this goes off, because it's not pretty at all. It is not pretty at all. And you don't want to be in America, because we get blasted hard and fast. We're one of the first to go. all right, before they bring in the whole New World Order, but they're moving that direction right now. It's following along exactly what we saw with the emails out of Canada. They're setting up, they're talking about the camps, re-education camps, they're locking more people down. They're doing the same thing. There's still people talking about Trump coming back and all this. I mean, it's the same nonsense over and over again. And they just keep running it, giving people hope and stuff like that. What time's actually running out for them? The only hope you have is in Jesus. And you have to give your life to him and follow what he teaches. There's no other way. There's no other person, all right? Repent. Step away from your sins and continue to fight the good fight, all right? We're almost there, though. So hold on and don't give up. And this is encouraging. I'll catch you next time on the Elysian, or I'll see you in there. God bless. Bye.